Tell Hollywood, if you're gonna do the classics, do them right. And for the love of all the gods, cast someone who doesn't look like they're about to tell you their pronouns.
Right, I'm sure most of you are familiar with the controversies and rumours over the past week of Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey movie, as it seems to be a big DEI push, changing what's generally agreed upon amongst scholars and academics about the actual sort of appearance and ethnicities of certain characters. Now, I'm in the same boat. I much prefer a faithful recreation, but I think some rumours have gone a little bit over the top. The main one being about Elliot Page's role. This is why I kind of give it a week just to settle down, see if some more information come out, and to be fair, there's only 2 extra bits of information I could find that goes contrary to the general belief. Now, Elliot Page made a brief appearance in the new trailer, so let's just have a look at that little clip.
Who's looking after your wife and son?
Now, from that little clip, you can tell that they're not trying to portray her as a big, strong warrior, and under the Christopher Nolan subreddit, somebody's posted that Elliot Page plays Elpenor in the Odyssey. So Elpenor is the youngest member of Odysseus' ship crew. Then Elpenor is the first person he sees in the underworld coming out of the ground. Could that be this scene that's in the trailer? Now, I went back to the first trailer from earlier on in the year, and I found this clip that shows somebody climbing out of the ground, but they don't show a face shot. The environment does look the same though, so I'm assuming this is the underworld, and then is this Elliot Page's character just with a hood up on trailer 1 and then the hood down on trailer 2? But obviously the big controversial rumour was that Elliot Page was going to be cast as Achilles, who Brad Pitt played in the original Troy film from 2004. And the internet went crazy with memes, replacing strong people in movies with Elliot Page. Like, these are some of my favourite ones.
That's supposed to be me? The greatest warrior who ever lived? Nolan, you motherfucker! I'm standing right here! Golden boy of the Marmotins reduced to this soft-looking bitch boy who's never tasted blood! Shit.
Okay, Brad's armor isn't gonna work. Who thought this was a good idea?
But anyway, so obviously that wouldn't work to everybody with 2 eyes looking at Elliot Page and thinking that she could replace Brad Pitt. But I think people are forgetting as well that there are 2 works in this whole story. You've got the Iliad and the Odyssey. And so Homer's The Iliad was actually what Troy was based on. And then the Odyssey, which is the sequel to the Iliad, is what the new Christopher Nolan film is going to be based on. So obviously Achilles is a very main and central character in the Iliad, which is what Troy was based on. But Achilles dies before the events of the Odyssey, so then in the Odyssey, he only briefly shows up as a ghost. And I did find this one post actually justifying the context of how it might slightly work if they cast Elliot Page as Achilles, or Achilles' ghost I should say. While the Iliad depicts Achilles as a grand physically dominant warrior, his appearance in the Odyssey takes place strictly in the underworld as a drained, grieving ghost who bitterly regrets trading his life for immortal fame. While supporters argue that casting a slighter actor like Page perfectly captures a hollow, sapped spectre rather than the bronzed warrior of the Trojan War. I can kind of see that angle a little bit, but I think it makes a lot more sense if she plays Elpenor. And so when Odysseus reaches the underworld, considering Elpenor is the first person he sees coming out of the ground, then this scene could actually be that. We'll have to wait and see, but the Achilles character that's depicted in Troy from the Iliad is completely different to what's depicted in the Odyssey because we only see him as a ghostly form. Because I mean, obviously it wouldn't make sense if Elliot Page played a bronzed warrior. She's 5'1" and scrawny as hell. Now what's quite funny is there's an article article on IMDb that basically shows that before Batman Begins, Christopher Nolan was offered to do Troy, but he rejected it at the time for not feeling it. So I don't know why he's feeling the Odyssey now when he wants to push all this DEI inclusivity stuff onto it. It seems a little strange to me. I've seen some people speculate that they think he's just pushing for an Oscar, but we'll see. Now, we won't go over the racial casting and stuff, but obviously with a completely star-studded cast like this, which is very rare to get together, you would have thought this would have just been an automatic win, but not in this current day and age. I do have a feeling that because of all this weird inclusivity stuff that's being pushed into movies about gender and race, etc., in the future, people are going to kind of avoid a lot of films from like the 2015 to 2025 era. Maybe even up until 2030 if it doesn't get sorted out by then. There's also the issue of the source work that's being used for it, as Christopher Nolan's going to be using the translation from the author Emily Wilson, who apparently is a hardcore progressive feminist. So it's pretty damn obvious why everybody's dubious about this movie. From the unfaithful DEI push casting to the feminist source works, and then just with the general look of the film in the trailers as well, something just doesn't feel right. Like, why did they give giants metal armor? Have they got massive forges? Are they all of a sudden extremely intelligent now and can make all their own weapons and armor?
Holy Zeus, what are those? Giants? They look like they're wearing more metal than I did through the entire war. In my day, giants were hides, not this walking forge!
And when I saw this helmet, I was literally thinking, what the heck is that? It looks like it's made with some sort of modern metal alloy or something. And I've seen some people say it looks a little bit Batman in design, but I think it's also got a little bit of Star Wars vibes about it, but not ancient Greek.
Agamemnon? Why does he look like Batman had sex with Magneto on top of an anvil? That's not a king, it's a boss fight!
So, I don't know, we'll see. I don't even know if I'm going to watch this movie or not. I probably will, just because it's probably going to be a spectacle anyway, with effects and awesome battles and all that type of stuff. But it just feels like there's a bit of a from the world about, like, come on, just be a little bit more faithful to original text, especially when it's an ancient, classical, mythological story like this. So just like in grand science movies, where you actually have science consultants on to make sure that your physics is accurate, etc., I think with ancient epic stories like this, they should have historian consultants, and obviously a specific expert for that particular time period. So anyway, I'm on the same boat as most people, and I just want them to be faithful to original texts. But the world's going through a little bit of a feelings over facts epidemic at the moment, and facts often get pushed aside just to consider people's feelings. So it won't be long until we know who's cast as who, as I think the movie releases in like just over 2 months, is it? Something like that? July the 17th, so just under 2 months. So anyway, about Elliot Page, do you think it makes sense that she's probably going to just play Elpenor, and that scene is actually showing her coming out of the ground after Odysseus makes it to Hades, or the underworld? Because that seems to match the image a little more to me, but we never know, because there's Achilles' ghost. If she is cast as Achilles, she could be like a hollowed out version of Achilles or something like that, but I don't know. I think the Elpenor angle makes a lot more sense. We shall see.
What in Olympus's name is this? Why is everything the color of wet stone and ash? Look at that garbage. This isn't my armor. We had style. Gleaming bronze, brighter than fire. This makes the Trojan War look like the Depression. What do you think you're doing, Bard? You make billion-dollar blockbusters, but you can't give Achilles or Helen proper actors? We invented theater, not this gray English misery. Say it to the people. Say, I'm sorry I turned the Odyssey into the absurdity. I'm sorry I made the Trojan War look like a... Well, guys, time's pulling me back. Tell Hollywood, if you're gonna do the classics, do them right. And for the love of all the gods, cast someone who doesn't look like they're about to tell you their pronouns.